Hello everyone, Loserkiller here, and today it's time for the 10th and final video in our first wave of creation from the Abyss MOC series. Today's MOC is called Aynh, and if you remember, at the beginning of this MOC series, I said that the first wave of MOCs is called the beginning of the end, and so if Aynh was kind of like representing the beginning of the story, because that's from him that everything starts and it goes on a one page and stuff like that. Well, the MOC today is the end, well, is the final opponent in Ayhn's adventure. And so this MOC was created by me and Shaddow, which is a friend of mine, well, who is a friend of mine, excuse me for this little mistake. And well, the concept behind this creation, so the concept is from me, was to make a big MOC, but not really just a simple big and huge MOC and stuff like that. And also because it's a huge creation, this video will be cut in 4 parts, and so each part I will try to show you something different because there is really a lot to talk about. So that's why I preferred to divide this last video in 4 parts. So that said, let's go back to the concept. The concept was to make a big creation and also to make it alive. And so to obtain this result, I took inspiration from the video game Shadow of the Colossus, so which you might know. It was released at the time on PlayStation 2 and also was re-released on PlayStation 3. And in this video game, you are tasked to, well, you are tasked kind of to hunt down what is called Colossi. And in fact, what is interesting in this game is that there is no levels. In fact, the levels are the Colossi themselves, because you really climb literally on them. And as you climb, you have to dodge things, you have to do some action platforming, and also you have to solve puzzles in order to defeat the different Colossi. And each of those tasks, take place on the Colossi themselves. And I was really inspired by that, and I thought to myself, well, why not create little scene with Matterhorn in them on my Titan, on my large MOC. And so that was really the starting point for this creation. Also, there was also other concept, as we'll see in a MOC later on. And also, apart from that, I think that's all. So obviously I will talk about the scenes in each video. And yes, next thing, and I'm going to put down because talking in front of a white screen is not really the most white background, is not the most interesting thing ever. So let me just put these 2 parts here. And yes, today's parts are going to be the legs of Aynh, which looks like that. And so with that, there is 2 more concepts that I'm going to talk about. So the first concept, well, it's kind of like the color scheme itself. So the color scheme, the color scheme is, well, I had to obviously use colors in which I had many parts. And so obviously this means, for example, I was not going to use a purple color in which I just have like 10 parts or stuff like that. So this means I had to use some more classic colors like the black, the old dark gray, even if there are also some new dark gray in there, and also you have red and dark red. Also, these colors I wanted to make kind of like a shade, meaning that, as you can see, we're going to start the MOC with just black, then move on to the dark gray, and then we will have some red, so a shade, so which starts from black and then move on to the colors with both reds. Also, another concept is that I wanted to make each side of the body, or at least each side of the legs and the arms, different. So as you can see, the left side is different from the right side in terms of how it's made and stuff like that. So you have already seen this concept on my Skullgear MOC. And I think that's all for the concepts for now. So let's just move on to the description of each part. Obviously, I'm not going to talk and describe all the pieces that compose this MOC. This would be totally useless. So let's start. Excuse me, I just have to move around the line because yes, it's a first for me. The background, as you can see, is a little different, so it's yeah. it's not the best, but I will try my best to so that you understand everything correctly. So let's start with the left foot. And first of all, you need to know that when I made this mock way back in 2012, the left foot was the same as the right one because I didn't have the time to make it different from the exhibition. Because remember, we had to show the Abyss mock series at an exhibition, so it was it took place like the weekend, but we had to be there on Friday. And so this means that we began working with my friend on Aynh on like Tuesday. So this means, or maybe Wednesday. Wednesday. So this means we had like 2 days to make the mock from scratch, and well, it took really it was really long days. And so, well, we did not have time to make everything perfect, and so this foot I created it after the exhibition, kind of like Naikan, which had the same type of story behind his creation. So yes, let's move on. Excuse me. So as you can see, the foot is shaped in this way. So with a spike at the end, like that. You can also notice this part here, also this big wheel, which is also used as a drill part on some Lego sets. We will see this part once again on the upper part of the body. Also, you can see that on the back he has a heel, like that. And also you can notice that some parts will be used throughout the legs. So for example, you have this little whim right here, which is used there, there, and there, or actually a wheel. You also have this part, which are used on both sides, and also on the back for the heel. And I think that's quite all for the foot itself. There is not much to talk about. Also, one other thing we wanted to do with this creation was to make really a Titan which was well articulated, but in the end it kind of didn't work at all. But still, you can see that if you want, you can move this part like that and on the side. So it was really supposed to be able to be put in many poses, but at the end it was, yes, it kind of failed. But I will talk about that later on when we'll talk about the body itself. Okay, moving up, as you can see, we have this large technique panel part on the back, which are really helpful to cover the empty spaces, because obviously when you create a mock this big, you have a lot of space to cover, so that's where this part come in handy. So you can see, you see them both here and there. And to link these two parts, well, the knee is an independent part, as you can see, this one here, with a big antrose wing, or a blade if you prefer. But this part was released in the antrose set, which was released in 2008 in the Bellical Sim. And so this idea right here came from Shaddow, because Shaddow began working on the legs before me, while I was, I think, working on the body itself. And so he created most of the white leg, and so he is the one who kind of like created the frame for both legs. But this legs was created by me, but he had the idea, for example, for all the legs were put together, and this part in the middle, which is quite cool, I think, because it clearly kind of like breaks the shape of the leg. And so we move on to our first Matterhorn scene. So that's what I talked about earlier in this video, which might have be a little hard to understand. So let me just move the light here, and I think, okay. So this first scene, well, what it is? Well, first you have, let me just adjust the focus. First you have a Matterhorn, which is right there, as you can see, well, who is right there. So with his two arms, his canoe, and he is in front, or at least he is opening what is kind of like a treasure chest, like that. So as you can see, you can really close the treasure chest if you put off the lasers. You can really close it or open it. And so he's opening it, and as he's opening the treasure chest is in fact trapped, and release two powerful lasers straight into his eyes, and obviously into his head and into his brain, which explodes, as you can see, with the little effect I put on the back. So this is supposed to kind of like represent the blood, even if in this universe, in universe yet, there is no blood itself, or the blood itself is called Aegis and is in black color. So well, you have right here a little Matoran which is open a treasure chest. It's trapped and is blown by two lasers, which blown his brain, which literally blown his brains. So this scene is supposed to represent greed, because you have a Matoran which is really hungry for power and wealth and and who want to be rich, and so because of that, he tried to open the treasure chest, and it's a lesson for him as his brains got exploded. So it's supposed to represent greed, like I said, but also obviously all the people who try to gain power by using other people, so who just have a goal in their life, and it's just to have to gain the most. I don't know how to say that. Excuse me. Yeah, to gain most power. I'm just going to keep it at that. And so that's the meaning behind this little scene right here, of greed, and also of person who just want powers in their life, and who won't stop at anything to gain it, whether it be I don't know, but like embarrassing others or using others to fulfill their what they want to do and stuff like that. So to fulfill their destiny, like I said, fulfill their goal. Excuse me. I have some problem with my words today, so I hope you can understand this little scene clearly, because as I'm sure as I do not make things easier for me right there. So yes, that's what this little scene is about. So moving on with the second leg. So the second leg is doesn't really have any Matoran in there, so there isn't really any scenes, but still it's quite interesting, because like I said, it's different. And if the left side was kind of like the proper side, the right side on the other end is more like the destroyed side. Well, not really, in fact. It's a little more than that, because what I wanted to represent with this leg was that the end could kind of like destroy and rebuild himself. And so that's what it's supposed to be. As you can see, you have kind of like some tentacles part which comes from the ground and which kind of like grows up on the leg itself to rebuild the leg and the other part of the of Aynh, like that. And once again, this part was not as detailed when we showed it at the exhibition. It was a lot simpler. For example, there was no tentacle parts or anything like that. And while this part, except maybe the foot itself, was made by Shaddow. So all this thing was made by Shaddow. I just gave him the instruction to make something which was in a bad state, which was made of pieces and scraps and junks and stuff like that. And so he created the things by itself. For example, he had the nice idea to put these two parts together, which I think looks good together. Also the part on the side with those pipes. And as you can see, both sides are different, but also quite the same, because if you look on the side of the leg, you will see that this part right here is the same as this one. So with a large red shield and also some spikes and stuff like that, some claws, excuse me, and pieces like that. As you can see also on the back, the weld technique panel parts are not complete. In fact, you have some hose pipes hanging from there. So once again, it really looks like the MOC is kind of like rebuilding itself. And that's another thing I wanted to do with this creation. When making both sides different in terms of design, one side was supposed to be only the clear design, the proper design, and the other one was supposed to be like the destroyed / rebuilt design, or while being rebuilt, in fact. So you have all these parts coming from the ground and moving up to the leg. And I think that's all for this part. So once again, I try really my best to show you, but the light is not the best. And because this part is mostly black, you might not be able to see clearly how this works. So yeah, it's really hard to show you clearly how the parts are made, but it's not also that interesting. So yeah, so sorry for that. And I think we are just done with the first part. So excuse me once again, when I had some problems to explain the little Matterhorn scene, I tried my best, but there is just sometimes some words which do not want to, well, to come, if I can say so. If I can say so. So yeah, and here you have both legs. And if you want a size comparison, well, I'm going to do one with Aynh and also a little minifigure. Obviously. And so here you go. So you can see the legs are kind of like maybe not 2 times the size of Aynh, but nearly. In fact, if I put this part like that, yes, it's maybe 2 times this side, but yes. So yes, I think we are just done with the legs. So once again, thank you for watching this video and for putting up with my with my terrible French accent and yeah. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask once again. And that said, well, we will see later, or at least very soon, because I'm going next up to talk about the arms. It's going to be, I think, a little simpler. There is not much to talk about, and that's also why I will show you the head in the same part. So next up is the arms and the head, and that's all. So see you later. Bye bye.